Okay, so today's lesson is 9-7, and we are going to use the quadratic formula. A quadratic formula is just another way that we are going to discover to solve for the variable, and it's x in this case. Okay, so one thing I want you to do is to copy down the definition and the formula for the quadratic formula. It says if ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, a, b, and c are real numbers, and a is not 0, then the formula is x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so that's the formula for the quadratic equation, or the quadratic formula. Alright, now we're going to use a quadratic formula to solve. And your first example is x squared plus 6 is equal to 5x. Okay, now we're going to do step 1. We're going to take our equation and make sure it's in standard form. The ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So is that in standard form? And I look at my problem here, and I'm going to kind of get I'll look at my problem here. Is this in standard form? And it's not. So I'm going to go ahead and write it over here, and we're going to move a few things around to put it in standard form. So I want to get it to be ax squared plus bx plus c. So my x needs to move to the middle of the other problem. So it needs to move right up in here, and this is 0. So let's rewrite it. We've got x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. Okay, so now is that in standard form? Ax squared plus bx plus c, and it is. The next part, step 2, identify our a, b, and c, and we've been doing this now for quite some time. Our a is 1, our b is negative 5, and our c is 6. Okay, so now we're going to take that a, b, and c and substitute it into the quadratic equation. And again, I just recopied the quadratic equation. So we've got it's x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so now I'm going to go, and now I'm going to write it with my letters. So that's just a reference for us. So x is equal to negative b. Well, what is my b? My b is negative 5. So I keep my negative just like we did. You keep your negative. You plug in your b, which is negative 5, plus or minus the square root of b, which again is negative 5 squared minus 4. And what's our a? Our a is 1. And then what's our c? Our c is 6. Okay, all over 2, and it's times a, which is 1. What did I do with my pen? Oh. Okay, so now, once we plugged it in or substituted the information, we are now just going to do the math. So now we have this, and I'm just going to carry it down to the next level. Okay, so we have negative and negative. Negative, negative is positive 5, plus or minus I keep my square root symbol. And now I go here. And now I have negative 5 and negative 5. Negative times a negative is positive. 5 times 5 is 25. That's what goes in here. Then I go back, and I'm at this point right here now. Negative 4. Actually, I'll do a different color. The next part is negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. And now I still have 6. It's still all over 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, now we're going to do the next part. And again, you can do part of this together. I'm just kind of showing you with my first example, step by step, what we are doing. Okay, I keep my 5. And I've got plus or minus. Keep the square root for now. 25. And now I have right here negative 4 times positive 6, which is negative 24. Negative 24 all over 2, because we already multiplied that. Okay, so we're at that point. Okay, now we're going to finish it up and finish up the math. We keep our 5. We got our plus and a minus. 25 minus 24 is 1 all over 2. Okay, so now the last part, we're going to separate it, simplify it, and then separate it. So now I have, keep the 5, plus or minus the square root of 1 is 1 all over 2. Okay, now the next part. We have 5 plus 1 over 2. And so I got that from here. So 5 plus 1 over 2. 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 over 2 is 3. That's one of my answers. Then I'm going to do the same thing, but now with the negative. So now I'm going to go, we've got over here, we've got 5 minus 1 over 2. And this time, the minus is right here. So we set up two problems, 5 plus 1 over 2, and then 5 minus 1 over 2. So I've got 5 minus 1 is 4. 4 over 2. So 2 will go into 4 2 times. And I found my answer. So that is the quadratic equation. Using it to solve, we've got x is equal to 3 and x is equal to 2. Okay. Alright, so that's our first problem. Okay, so our next problem is x squared minus 2x minus 8 is equal to 0. And we are going to go through and do our steps. I'll try to do it a little bit quicker this time so it doesn't take us so long. Okay, so step 1, is it in standard form? Is it in ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0? And it is. So step 1 is finished for us. Step 2, we are going to take and we're going to identify our a, b, and c. So what is our a? Our a is 1. What's the b? The b is negative 2. And then what's our c? Our c is negative 8. So step 3, once we have our a, b, and c, step 3, then we're going to substitute into Substitute. I don't think I spelled that right. Subdivision. Sorry, it's late tonight. There we go, that's better. I'm going to substitute. Okay, so now we're going to take our formula. And again, it's memory. You need to memorize. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So now we're going to take our information and we are going to substitute it. So now I've got negative. Again, what is my b? My b is negative 2. Plus or minus the square root of negative 2, that's my b, squared minus 4 times, our a is 1, times negative 8. All over 2 times 1 again. Okay, so now we've substituted. Step 4, we are going to do the math. So I'll write a little note to ourselves again. Step 4, do math. Okay, so now we've got negative and negative is positive 2, plus or minus. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4, minus, we have negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times negative 8 all over 2. Then the last part of this, we're going to go 2 plus or minus, keep the square root, 4, and negative 4 times the negative 8. 4 times 8 is 32, and it's positive 32 all over 2. Okay, we'll keep going. And now we're going to take this and we're going to simplify it. So now we have our 2, we're keeping that, plus or minus, and now I have 4 plus 32 is 36 all over 2. Keep the 2, plus or minus, what's the square root of 32? Is 6 all over 2. The last part, you're going to do your 2 problems. We're going to say 2 plus 6 over 2, and then we're going to say 2 minus 6 over 2, and we're going to do the math for both of them, and then we're going to have our 2 answers. So we have 6 plus 2 is 8, 6, 7, 8 over 2, which is 4, and then keep, change, change, and we have negative 4 over 2, which is negative 2. And here is our x values right here. Positive 4, negative 2. Okay, one more, just to make sure you got it, and then I'm going to let you work on your own. Okay, so the last one that we have, we're going to go ahead. I'm not going to write the steps this time, we're just going to do it. I'll talk you through them. Okay, so the first step was, is it in standard form? And I look, and I see no, it's not. So I'm going to keep my x squared. I keep my negative 4x. I've got to move the 117 to the other side by taking the opposite. Okay, now it's in standard form. Next part, identify your a, b, and c. A is equal to 1, b is equal to negative 4, and c is equal to negative 117. Next part, take your formula, and I'm going to write it again one time. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. And I like to write it over and over and over again so I don't forget. Now I take those, and now I'm going to substitute my a, b, and c. So now we're going to go over here, and I think I'm going to go up here and do a little work. So x is equal to, and my b again is a negative 4. So I have negative 4, that's my b, plus or minus the square root. It's going to be negative 4 squared minus 4, and my a is 1, times 1 times, and it's negative 117 all over 2, and my a is 1. Okay, next step, we're still doing it. So for x is equal to negative, and negative is positive 4, plus or minus the square root of negative 4 times negative 4. 4 times 4 is 16, and then we have negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times negative 117 all over 2. We're still figuring out what x is. We have 4 plus or minus the square root of 16. Negative and negative is positive, and 117 times 4 is 468 all over 2. And then I'm going to go through, and I'm going to take and add this up. So different color. I keep my x. I have 4 plus or minus, and we have the square root. We add 16 plus 468, and I get 484 all over 2. And then I have 4 plus or minus the square root of 484 is 22 all over 2. Okay, and as you go home and you do these, the numbers are bigger. Go ahead and use a calculator, but know on your test or your quiz, we'll try to give you numbers that won't require too much calculations. Okay, and the final step is to go ahead and do the math. So now I have x is going to be equal to 4 plus 22 over 2, and then 4 minus 22 over 2. So 22 plus 4, 26 over 2, and that's going to be 13. And then we go and we do the next one, and it's going to be keep, change, change, and we get negative 18 over 2, and I get a negative 9. So again, these are my answer choices right here. X is equal to 13, and x is equal to negative 9. Alright, quadratic formula. Not hard, takes a lot of paper space, so give yourself plenty of room to do your problems. Don't try to squish it, and do one step at a time, and it'll make it pretty easy.